Next topic is glucose anabolism. So, glucose anabolism involves creating glucose and then glucose catabolism. The previous topic was the breakdown of the glucose to create energy. So, glucose anabolism, even though most of the glucose in the body is catabolized to generate ATP, glucose may also take a part in a chemical reaction that is anabolic or be formed in an anabolic reaction. The first anabolic reaction that glucose is involved is called glycogenesis. And this is something we already discussed. Glycogenesis is the formation of glycogen from glucose in order for our bodies to store glucose long term in the liver and muscle. So glyco means glycogen and genesis means birth. So this is birth of glycogen. So glucose, sugar, is used for the synthesis of glycogen. Spell it correctly, glycogen. So glucose is 1 unit sugar, and then it's made into a polymer, into a polysaccharide polymer through a series of chemical reactions, and that is performed by the liver cells called hepatocytes and the muscle cells called myocytes or muscle fibers. So glycogenesis is done when there's we eat glucose, we're not using it immediately for energy, and it can be used to make glycogen. So roughly 75% of all of the glycogen is stored in a skeletal muscle. That's going to be approximately 500 grams, which is equivalent to 1 pound of glycogen in a body. When the body activities require ATP, the glycogen stored in the liver, hepatocytes, or in the muscle can be converted into the glucose. So it's like a reverse process. So glycogen will be converted into the glucose. And this is a process known as glycogenolysis. So glycogenolysis, where glycogen is lysed or split into the glucose. So it's going to be the opposite. It's glycogen broken down into the glucose units to release glucose. So this is formation of glucose. So it's a simple reversal of the steps of glycogenesis, and it is also performed in the liver and muscle cells that contain the glycogen. Turning to the next page. So the glycogenesis is stimulated by a hormone called insulin. Skeletal muscle, insulin hormone. This is the pancreatic hormone produced by pancreatic beta cells, and it stimulates the glycogenesis. And the glycogenolysis is stimulated by the hormone called glucagon. Also hormone, also a pancreatic hormone. So both of these are produced by pancreas gland. Okay. The glucose can also be synthesized from the proteins and fats that are stored in a body. So when the liver runs low on glycogen and we haven't eaten in a while, your body actually starts breaking down triglycerides, the fats, and proteins. Normally, the body breaks down proteins and triglycerides at all times, but the large scale breakdown of triglycerides and proteins doesn't happen until the body's starving and there's no more glycogen stored in the liver. Or it could happen during like an endocrine disorder. So this process of creating glucose from fats or proteins is called gluco. So it's not glycogen, it's glucose. So gly is glycogen. So glu is glucose. So this is called gluconeogenesis. Okay, and this is the glucose new genesis birth. So this is birth of the new glucose, and it can be formed from the amino acids in a body. Not all amino acids, only about 60% of all types of amino acids can be converted into the glucose. And also the glycerol of the fatty acids, so the lipids. The triglycerides. The glycerol of triglycerides can also be converted into the glucose through a series of chemical reactions. Gluconeogenesis is stimulated by the hormone called cortisol. That's the main hormone that is stimulating this process. This hormone is produced in the adrenal cortex of the adrenal gland. Okay, and it can also be stimulated by the thyroid hormones.